Thank you so much for returning to the post-show, episode 131. Today we discuss the man himself, Vince McMahon. I'm only half joking. We do actually start the podcast on that. I don't know what drove him to this, but Grant watched the entire Vince McMahon documentary. Yeah, so we're back. We open on that. If it's not your thing, just skip ahead and we talk about Rings of Power Season 2, followed by My Hero Academia, Season 7, Episode 19. If you're one of these people who's been angry at listening to me shit on My Hero Academia all these years, well, today's episode is for you because they actually put out a good one, and we talk about it. Then we talk about The Penguin, a la Colin Farrell, Matt Reeves, HBO, and the pilot of that. Then Kaos, the Jeff Goldblum Power Drunken Zeus series on Netflix. Grant gives us a little fall season teaser of some really big shows coming up that we're going to have to cover. And then we get into the news. It's a fun one. Strap yourselves in. Enjoy. Oh, hey there, Grant.
Hello, David.
What's up, my guy?
How we doing, good?
Oh my god, we made it, dude. We're here.
We're here.
It feels, I think this is part of like going to the bi-weekly schedule, which I think has worked out quite well.
Yeah, I think it's easier on our lives and our scheduling. I do miss the 1 weeks there, but...
Me too. There's nothing
but mind
saying...
you, it's also been quiet,
It's been a little quiet.
Yeah.
There's also nothing saying we can't go back to the 1 week, especially when something demands it, right?
Yeah.
We're not coming back for like weekly coverage of My Hero or something, but if like something good kicks up, we'll be back.
I don't know. Might be a topic of conversation later in a few minutes.
We're gonna talk about My Hero. Well, don't worry, we're gonna talk about it. But I think like just with how busy hashtag adult life has been lately, this has been making more sense. And I'm still, the listener, if you notice our audio having any issues, I'm still like very much in a transient setup, but we're working on it. And by gods, one day we'll even do video. I swear to God. But
it's on the horizon.
It's on the horizon. But first, I gotta dial in a more permanent audio setup, and then we can get to the next part. But how you doing, bro? How you doing? How's your adult life been?
Good. As per usual, it's pretty...
cleaning any gutters or something? I can relate to that.
Cleaning any gutters? No.
I can relate. I have gutters. I've never cleaned
them. You're up there? You've been up there yet?
No.
No. Do you own a ladder?
No, I don't own a ladder, dude.
Okay, well...
And you know what? I'm not gonna, all right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna hire a guy.
Most dangerous thing.
Named Grant.
Yeah, well, I think
he's got a bum knee, and he gets right up there, dude. He does it for a moose head.
Yeah, no, you're right, just about. That's about minimum. A moose head will get me up there. But, not nothing much new. Just, typical daycare influenza shock in the house. Second of the season so far, so I'm loving that. Second in 3 weeks, but...
Good.
Yeah, and of course, the kids, they're all young and healthy, and they're shitty, and all out of the way for 2 days, and then you're stuck with it for 5 more. It's just, but
that sounds about right.
Just binging a lot of Netflix garbage.
There's some good stuff on as of late, though.
But that's the thing. I've just, it's like I turn into like an 18-year-old college girl just watching just garbage TV all day.
Right.
And Netflix, there's just so much of that on there now. I feel like there always has been, but it's just the algorithm knows you're not feeling well. It's like, here's the Vince McMahon documentary, and it's like,
oh my god, did you watch any of that?
All of it, dude.
Oh my god, so,
yeah,
that's so interesting. So
I'm not a wrestling guy either, so it was very
I was gonna say we can't really have a great conversation on my end about this. All I know, and here's what I'll say before I ask you about it, is that I don't know if you know this actually, but as you know, and maybe some of the audience knows, the UFC, the MMA organization, actually merged with the WWE a couple years ago. And they have
TKO. TKO is the overarching company, I believe.
Yes, TKO is their ticker symbol on the public stock market. So it's real. You can buy stock in this company, and by doing that, you're investing in both the UFC and the WWE. And it was a very big deal, multi-billion dollars
multi-billion-dollar market cap, and so I've gone through most of life like pretty unaware of the WWE, but and like just wrestling, like theatrical wrestling in general.
Sure.
But it just feels like it's not going away.
No.
And there has been some weird cross pollination between the UFC and the WWE, like historically, like Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, just weird stuff like that. And you know, like even some UFC fighters have appeared in the WWE briefly. So there is some back and forth. But what I will say is this: what I've always been aware of, and that has been made very clear to me, is the fandom and the size of the audience for the WWE is easily as big and historically actually bigger than that of the UFC's. Like, it's a giant thing. I don't know if this is exactly in our demo for our listener, for our audience.
No, it was interesting because like,
but
you
it's
know,
a
like,
gigantic thing in the United States. Gigantic.
I think I don't, you know, I think that's kind of like underselling it. I think it's like it's genuinely a worldwide thing,
right?
And this documentary could not have like hit that point home. It's interesting because as I was starting, I didn't realize it's like Bill Simmons is a producer on this. Like, it's a Ringer Films production. Like,
no way.
Co-made with I'm actually blanking on like the main, like the documentary team and company that made it, but you know, like it
I had
kind
no
of
idea.
Because that was the thing, like, I saw all the memes online and, like, talking about how, like, they were going to get into the sex scandal stuff, like, or, like, the most recent, like, this trafficking stuff with Vince McMahon. And, like, they do touch on that, and they make references to it, like, all these interviews were done before, like, this was made public and whatnot. And they get into, like, all the controversies along the way, but, like, by the end of it, it was, like, it was, like, kind of scathing, but, like, they actually... It felt like there was like more of an effort put in on, yes, his imprint and like what he made it, but it was actually like a amazing lesson and education on the different eras of the wrestling, like from the very early beginnings to the Hulkamania stuff to the, you know, Degeneration X and like, you know, like all that stuff. Like it was like weirdly like, oh my god, it just, you know, sometimes you watch something, you're like, yeah, I'm never gonna intake any of this. This is just like an in and out kind of thing. I was like,
totally.
I don't think I'll forget any of like the facts I watched from this documentary. I was super engrossed in it. It was really, really well made.
Are you aware? Are you aware that like Vince McMahon, like he came out in advance of its release, being like, I don't endorse this. I don't really feel like it's a fair telling. I feel like
I
it's a
didn't
story.
know that at all. No.
Yeah, I don't. So because you mentioned like some of the. I don't know if it's sexual assault allegations, but I'll just say I know there's some controversial stuff going on, and he kind of denounced it, saying like, "Oh, it doesn't feel like he told this full story." And I was just curious, like
it was funny because you can like, you know, because a lot of these interviews took place in 2021, so 2021 and 2022, and then there was like that first, I think at the latter end of 2022, there was like a more at the time there was a sexual assault like charge brought forward or claim and what, or you know, wording, and then there's obviously like this one that happened at the beginning of this year, but like it's really funny. Like I don't, you know, sometimes it's kind of hard to tell with documentaries, but like they were kind of smart with, you know, they were telling their story and he would say like a very specific thing, and like it's almost like an office clip, like a gym look. Like they do really good editing, but like it was all within the same thing, and like it would work back to something he said earlier. So like it didn't feel disingenuous at all, because like the man clearly is like a bit of a monster. Like again, I'm not going to presume or whatever, you know, like I'm not just, you know, let the courts figure all that out, but you know, court of public opinion is not going to. That is what it is, but like
a lot of smoke in that area is kind of what you're saying.
Well, no, it's like one of those things. Like he clearly is a piece of shit, and he is a huge asshole. And not a very nice person, and has done like on the record and like, you know, stuff is proven for him to be like not a nice person.
Okay, yeah.
So like, you know, if all the sexual assault stuff like, you know, wasn't brought up, like I think people would watch this and be like, oh, he's like not a good dude.
Oh, you're saying like even without like like even without all those allegations, like clearly not a great guy.
Yeah. So for him to come out and be like, yeah, like this is like disingenuous and like not painting the full picture, like. If you just take away all the sexual assault stuff, the picture that's like very clearly and proven painted, you know, by history and, you know, journalism and all this stuff over the years,
Matter
he
of
is an
public
asshole.
record.
Like he's not a good dude. So like I don't know, like him making comments like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
I know he's
remotely
the
buy it.
overarching like figurehead of the organization, but that's
I gotta
kind
say,
of where
though-
it stops. Is like that's all I really know. I know he's a big deal in that world.
I
But
gotta say though,
yeah.
by the end of it, you're like, the reason the WWE is what it is 100% because of him. There's no
Well,
questions asked. Like
It's so funny you say that,
Yeah.
dude, and that's your takeaway, because I hate to tie this back, but that is absolutely the like current prevailing theory and sentiment about the UFC and Dana White is like,
very remind the whole time I was thinking of Dana White.
yeah, because he's part of a class action lawsuit right now. Like we'll see how it all goes down. Once history is kind of written, the way I
Sure.
look at him is not super favorable currently. But one thing that is definitely undeniable is the sport isn't where it is, and the UFC doesn't really exist in its current form without him. But probably like a pretty bad dude. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's like, but I mean, it's weird how often this happens, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is a pretty wild comparison. Don't spear me for this, but it does seem like a lot of like gigantic figurehead leader type people end up being just absolute pricks when you get down to the nitty gritty and like how they treat people. Steve Jobs, you know what I mean? Like it turns out like as people, they are often pretty reprehensible and awful managers. But they kind of sacrifice everything for the product or for the business, which is interesting.
It was one of the like prevailing or like one of the most repeated phrases. Like he's like, I'm a businessman, like 100% business. Like
therefore what I'm doing.
There
is
was
okay.
probably like because it's 6 episodes, and probably like at least twice, maybe like only once per episode, but at least maybe like twice per episode, there'd be like, it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah.
Like and like it would just like it would be continued repeated, and like again like the quick editing of like other things he would say that kind of, I don't know, it was funny because there was a really really big point towards the end of the documentary where he sorry, in the middle point of the documentary, he makes a point saying like, if anyone ever calls me out on something or like they wants to slander me or whatever, he goes, I will 100%, I will do the interview, I will be defensive, I will fight you on it. And they're saying like, and then I think there's someone else had a quote of like, yeah, like every instance he has done that. And then it's like it cuts to like the empty chair, and Vince McMahon has refused to do the final interview since the allegations, and it was like,
That's so funny.
It was a funny little bit of editing, and maybe like you could take that as
Maybe he finds
or
that
whatever.
unfair. Fair enough.
But I don't know. I thought it to be like but like it was just like a highlight reel of like every interview of like a cut shot of all these interviews from like the 80s till now of him like arguing and like blowing literally imploding on television with people. Like Dave, like it's. I was talking to Joey about it because he grew up watching some wrestling and all that. Like I knew nothing of it. Like mutual friends of yours and mine actually were very big into wrestling, but like other than getting my ass kicked in their backyard, like I never really watched it. Like I had no
Just something
investment.
we missed.
Dude,
For whatever reason.
Yeah, and I don't know, but it was a good watch. Like I said, the history of wrestling, and they touch all these different areas, and like the amount of footage they have and the highlight reel, like it was like a true time capsule documentary.
That's cool.
How
many episodes?
It was 6. Each one was about 45 minutes. Yeah, it was like I said.
Maybe we give that shit a spin, man. Who knows?
What turned out to be like like a sick, like I just need to kill some time. I'm tired.
Sure.
Like, I want to focus on something where I'm not feeling good. Like I was engrossed the whole time. I was like, this is actually like really really good. So,
No kidding.
but yeah.
Okay, I got. God, this is a hard left turn, but I just need to ask. Have you watched any of Rings of Power season 2?
No, dude.
You haven't even fucking touched it, huh?
No, I haven't.
I am so curious. Will you touch it?
Leanna's been away. She was doing a lot of she was in a wedding and she was away for a few days. The plan was this week to watch it, but she was away because she doesn't want to watch it. So
okay,
I'm waiting for her to be around.
You reckon you will? Did you?
We're gonna
Okay.
check it out.
So here's my ask. Here's my question. Have you read the Silmarillion?
Silmarillion? No, I have not.
Okay, because I think I mentioned this on last episode, and I've been my approach with Rings of Power season 2 so far has I'm watching it with Sam, who has just seen the Lord of the Rings movies. She has not seen the Hobbit movies, and she has not read any of the books.
Okay.
And I've read a couple of the books, and I've seen Lord of the Rings more times than I can count. And I have been like pretty clear on not really liking the Hobbit movies.
Yeah.
So that said, like as a Lord of the Rings fan, like I mean, if you don't like the Hobbit movies because you feel like they stretch the source material, then like Rings of Power, you might be setting up for failure a little bit. But at the same time, I never read The Hobbit, right? I just thought they were like legit not great movies. So it's so it's tricky. But what I will say, like the prevailing, it's hard to encapsulate things, but my read on the public discourse is that fans of the source material just straight up don't like it. Like just straight up don't like it. If you've read The Silmarillion, the top comments are, Sauron was in this place for 300 years. It's been 2 episodes. It's like, yeah, but like, what did you want them to do, dog?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So it's weird, but what I will say is it's similar to Hot D season 2, actually. Well, in a weird way. Hot D season 2 actually ended up being quite slow. Full of stuff that I really enjoyed, but if you look for stuff to to nitpick, and if you, especially the ending, but if you look for things, like you will probably find things wrong. You know what I mean? But with Rings of Power season 2, like I don't know, man. Like now that they have Sauron out of the bag, Halbrand, they are doing cool shit with his, like legit cool shit with his character, like. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan and you're curious about like the Deceiver, like what does that even mean? What deception is he capable of? Like, you could probably always argue, oh, I want more. I want longer seasons. I want bigger movies, bigger budgets. I want more nuance. Like if everyone wants all those things all the time.
Yeah.
But something that is like absolutely matter-of-factly true is like we're seeing more of that than we've ever seen on screen before. And a lot of it is super fucking fun.
I have heard one of the more recent episodes. There's like probably maybe it was you actually when I saw you this past weekend or last weekend.
I don't know.
You were talking about like one of the better Lord of the Rings battles on screen you've ever seen.
I don't know.
Maybe I heard that.
There was recently a big battle, and it was legit fun. I will say, is there another show like this? Like, is there something else? They are going out of their way. And this is going to be hit and miss with whoever you talk to, but they are clearly going out of their way to do callbacks, or you might call them call forwards, because it happens before Lord of the Rings.
Sure.
But they're going out of their way to intentionally be like, remember this? You know what I mean? Like, do you remember at the end of season 1, like the stranger potentially being Gandalf?
Yes.
The reveal is he goes, always follow your nose. And that's it. It's just a little callback to the fact that Gandalf says that later. Yeah. And then the viewers were like, oh my god, that's got to be it, right?
Sure.
I would say there's like one of those per episode. Maybe not, and it's not always good and it's not always bad.
Sure.
Some people might be like, oh, that's a bit blunt. But I think on the other side, it's like, yeah, but what about the people who didn't read the Silmarillion? Or, don't have the movies memorized like I do. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of that, and it often works. Sometimes when it doesn't, you're like, like, did you need to include that? And there are outright, like, entire plot lines that I'm just disengaged on.
Sure.
So it's just one of those things.
That was a big part of season 1, I remember. There was, like, cause, again, it's kind of the problem when you are trying to run, like, 6 different storylines.
Yeah. It is the kind of the Game of Thrones problem, though, right?
Yeah.
It's like...
you're kind of ranking them inherently.
Everybody gets
without
a
realizing
scene.
it, yeah.
Yeah, everybody gets a scene per episode until they hopefully converge, or you kill them off, or they come to their conclusions, or whatever it is. And then you're like, oh, great, we got another fucking scene with Arya in the, training again in the house. It's like, she's been doing this for 2 seasons. How much more of this do you want to watch, right?
Sure. Yeah.
But, I don't know. Star of the show, I forget his name, but the guy playing Halbrand...
Sauron?
Yes.
Okay.
They're doing really great justice in that.
Are the Hobbits back?
Like the Hardfoots are still in there for sure.
Yeah. What's your ranking on them? Loving it or not liking it?
Well, to be fair, I remember you really liked it in season 1, and for me, it was my least favorite. So I think there's a good chance that just is unchanged. Like, it's my least favorite, and you still might love it.
Sure. I wouldn't say I loved it. I just kind of enjoyed the community nature of that group and all that.
Yeah, they take a direction that you either will like or won't. There are a couple other like bold choices that they clearly make that feel like gambles. But again, it's like it's just tricky, right? There are obstacles. Like I remember you talking about the IP that they actually bought, what they actually have rights to.
They literally have one age.
They have one age.
And even I think it's like a split, like one portion of the second age leading up to the third, and that's like it.
And that joke I made earlier, man, like that was a legit complaint someone made. It's like, character A was in location B for 300 years. We kind of rushed through it. It's like, dog.
Yeah, they're in a part of the story and they're not allowed to adapt. So
and also, if you want to pass 300 years, like think about it, right? Just think about it practically from a storytelling perspective. Every show has to do this, right? Where they have to play with time because it's a completely different medium. So that to me is not a super valid complaint. But I am in general just curious because I find myself, there has absolutely been a dud or two episodes, but more often than not, man, I'm sitting back, I'm like, this is fucking cool. There's little things where I'm like, oh, this is kind of neat.
Does it look good?
Yeah, I think it looks better. I think it's better in every way than season 1.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Right. And I remember I sent you that, like, the early embargo that dropped about, like, season 2 is another meandering, aimless, slow. I don't know. Yeah. I don't really know what to say about that other than I think getting a lot of the shit out of the way from season 1, as in, like, you have to set up the stranger, right? You had to hook him up with the hobbits. You had to reveal that Halbrand was Sauron. You had to have Galadriel meet him and become deceived by him. You know what I mean? Like, all the pieces are now set up.
Sure.
And now they're all moving. Oh, and you know what else is fucking wild? Sorry, I'm excited.
No, that's good.
Another thing that's wild. Do you remember they got rid of, I don't know why, but they changed out the guy who plays Adar, who was like a highlight.
Yeah. Who was Ben Stark?
My guy? You won't be able to tell.
Really?
I don't know who the fuck they got to fill his shoes. You can't tell.
Looks just like him.
Between the makeup and the acting performance, they definitely made a choice. I don't know who they hired, but they're like, my guy, do your best Ben Stark is Adar impression. Didn't miss a beat. Like, he's literally the same dude. It's unbelievable.
Damn.
I didn't want to... I debated even telling you that because I was going to be like, oh, I bet.
You ask me later.
Well, you may not even notice. I saw a thread recently being like, did you know the actor was changed? It was full of hundreds of people with thousands of upvotes being like, I had no idea.
Wow.
And I'm not saying he has a major or a minor role in the story. I'm just saying,
wow,
you can't really tell.
Yeah, it was a pretty big part of season 1. I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough on Rings. So I hope that's enough. You got 2 weeks now, Grant, all right? And you got a big weekend ahead of you.
I do got a big weekend. Leanna's on holidays right now, so
all right,
we can catch up on some Rings of Power.
So when you get back from this weekend, take it for a spin. You got a couple days before the weekend too.
That's what I'm saying. Like leading up to now.
Okay,
we got lots of time to get into it.
All right. Your turn. Go ahead. What do we got?
Do we want to break it up? Because like we got a lot of TV and movie talk, but do we want to get in My Hero?
Yeah, we can get in My Hero.
Yeah? All right.
Yeah, I assume you're caught up. What are...
Yeah, I'm caught up.
What are your thoughts, my guy?
I would like to make a... Okay, I'll admit when I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not backpedaling here. I'm not trying to, reversal. I can kind of see why they did what they did with Dobby now. It seems a little obvious now.
Right.
After having seen that episode. And, but I stand by my point that, if everything wasn't so cluttered and they did manage all of these storylines a little better, them doing the Dobby reversal on us, like 10 episodes ago.
Oh, right.
Would have
like Shoto beating him and then him not dying.
And then them not giving like a fully adequate reason like why he just kind of like is back up, and then again they kind of just left it, but it was weird. The portal guy shows up, pulls him out. Like again. Great episode, phenomenal. When
you're talking about the most recent episode,
the most recent episode,
season 7, episode 19. There's
2 episodes left. I saw that today on Twitter.
Yeah, there's your spoiler warning. We're gonna get deep into this one because it is a big one, but keep going.
It is a huge one, but really good. So like I said, like other than that, some like a couple really cool things happen and whatnot. The fight with The Dobby stuff was great, but the fight with All For One, where everyone just kind of like hammering down and seeing, them like, smashing him repeatedly into the ground and him.
You know what that felt like?
Rewind. What?
It felt like Tien holding off Cell in a second form. Do you remember that?
Vaguely. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
In
it's
what
just
way?
he was like in the earth, and everyone's trying to just keep him down, knowing you can't win.
Gotcha.
Just keep him down there as long as possible. But sorry, keep going.
But yeah, no, and just like the art, like the artistic choices, like the rewind ability working as he's still kind of getting pummeled, and
Yeah.
you can see all the bone and sinew and the muscle and all that. I thought that was really cool, and All Might, dude, how chilling was that? Dave, credit where credit is due. I don't know why I never saw it coming. It seemed like I just thought they drained him. I thought our boy was out.
Yeah. So
Truly.
okay. Oh God, I don't know what that was.
The
What I
answer's
will
always
say.
cats.
What's that?
The answer is always cats.
It's always cats. Sorry. What I will say. Okay. In typical Dave fashion, I have a small nitpick.
Let's go.
Naming the episode "I Am Here"
Bit of a giveaway.
when
Yeah.
is a bit of a giveaway. Two, it's All Might's only scene in the whole episode is saying "I am here," and then he's not in it.
Do you think they should have reversed? Do you think they should have
I-
blown out all the emotion in the first half and then
Do that.
did the hype on the second part with
Yeah.
All Might right as the episode ends?
Do
Yeah, I
that,
can see that.
yes. Do the "I am here" as the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Because there's no real point. This episode, the story of this episode, is the Todoroki family and Dabi, and the culmination of that whole season-long arc that they've been forcing on us, which we've been very critical of.
Sure.
Because it worked and not worked, and then it's kind of worked. You know what I mean? Like, it's been a long 7 seasons of this shit.
They've been jamming it so hard and for so long down our throats. Like,
Yeah.
it's
And
like you said, there's been moments it worked, there's been moments it hasn't. Like, the up and down of it's been nauseating.
And it finally landed. You gotta give it to him, dude. Like,
Yeah.
this episode, as far as, like, how that arc, like, wound Dabi's character, because you are right, by the way. I could not agree more. Like, that bullshit about, like, just why have the fight? Why have the Shoto to Dabi fight for Shoto to win and overcome him, and then walk it all back and then do it again? It's like, it's just such shonen, like, drip feed, breadcrumbing, paint by numbers bullshit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, we beat them, but did we? No, we got to do it again, where everyone shows up. And it's like, I get it. The payoff this time was better, but we really didn't need that first step. Like, it was a total waste of our time. It's insulting to the audience, but I've talked about that ad nauseum.
I'll say, I got a great Saturday night out of it that one time.
Yeah.
You go and fuck Dobby all over town.
That's true.
Glorious. That was worth it.
I forgot about that.
That happening was worth it.
But
yeah, I don't know.
man, that they put the pieces together for this episode. They absolutely did. Dude, that Shoto Lita
Lita? Oh my
team up.
I miss
animation.
so fucking bad, dude.
Dude, I know. Like,
He's
what?
probably one of the biggest casualties of like the big cast problem. Like, he is legitimately from the fucking get go was a rock solid character. I'm in with this guy. Like, yes, the class captain, like 100%. I love this dude. Shafted like 3 seasons now.
You're bang on with that
Yeah.
the big cast problem, because we've talked about, it's their strength, their weakness. They can like swap cast members in and out, but like season 1 and 2, and maybe even more than that, is like they're leading you down a path that like really makes you think he's going to be a central character, right? And then he fucking vanishes. And I mean, we got this moment. This moment was unbelievable. It was so cool.
They brought in a special animator for that.
I mean that dude, that looks like a different show. Like,
I was reading.
it's unbelievable. That's maybe some of the best. That's probably among the best animation they've done in the entire series.
I don't have names in front of me. I should have done my research a little bit better. But I saw on Reddit they brought in a specific animation director who literally focuses on speed on screen, and that's why they got him, because like they knew it was going to be, and it was the highlight of the episode by far. Like, it was Ida and Todoroki like rocketing off All Might, and then the Dobby stuff at the end there. But
yeah, man, that was that was wild.
so good.
I don't know. They fucking nailed that.
I love like the anime bullshit too that came along with it of like, oh, like, Ida, like your engines are, they're out. And he's like, nah, dude, it's been raining. I'm good to go right now.
Yep. Fuck it.
It's like 100% right on. Let's go.
You know
Let's
what?
get it.
We're used to watching anime. We get it. You're at your limit, and you're gonna pass them.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm
Little
not
rain,
mad
little
about that at all. You know what was okay? What? Here we go. We'll give him more. We'll give him more props. One twist that actually worked because like anime in general, My Hero absolutely very guilty often of being like, here's a twist for twist's sake, right?
Sure.
Exhibit A is like Shoto beating Dabi for it not to matter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But one that actually landed for me is it's the final showdown. Shoto is about to show up. The whole family is trying to cool Dabi.
Yeah.
Which is also like a good moment, especially with the whole family history. Again, a little forced at times, but it worked in this instance, I thought. But Dabi's mother's quirk activating as he's finally on his last breath was like, oh my god, that's pretty fucked up. Because it brings everything full circle, right? It's like the whole thing was that Endeavor was obsessed with trying to force this thing to manifest.
Yeah.
And it finally does in the one son that he's completely estranged to, and the other one that he's entirely alienated and is only hungry for revenge.
Yeah.
That actually was like, oh, fuck, that's actually quite poignant, and I actually feel kind of bad.
It's like, I know this is going to sound like I'm not trying to minimize like the overall My Hero story because, we do like a lot of parts of it, and, there's a lot we don't, but the whole Todoroki saga genuinely should have been its own series. Like, not even like don't even make it like a My Hero series. Like, give them like a power system or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, make it like a superhero world or whatever. But literally, that family trying to overcome, like, maybe it's like one giant arc or something like that. But like that family all coming together at that moment, a movie or something like that, like, and really put the time in, like, the abuse that friggin' Endeavor did to his family, and like watching them, getting to know all the siblings a little better, like.
The semi-redemption arc, yes, too. Like, if you want to call it that.
Yes.
The characters have been through a lot, but the problem is it is quite disjointed, right? Like,
yeah.
That has been 7, nearly 8 seasons in the making of build, and I was bitching about it. The last episode we did about like this is paint by numbers bullshit. I was kind of pretty critical of it, but it's like because they're clearly trying to make everything kind of intersect here at the end. And this one they nailed, but it takes a long time to assemble those pieces. Like, what if people don't have a podcast about it? You know what I mean? What if they forget? Because it's easy. It's been going for 7 fucking seasons.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, it landed for me. Any other major moments from that you liked?
No, not really. But I really liked everyone kind of jumping in.
It's that whole sequence, right? Like,
there's that. There's also, I did like. It was kind of a cool callback because I thought that was kind of a heavy moment. I think from last season, where you know how like when all this stuff kicks off, when it becomes like the leftover heroes versus like the Super League of Villains or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
And there's a bunch of heroes that just retire. They walk away from the fight.
Yes.
And I remember being like, oh, like that's kind of like a really fucked up moment. Like everyone's kind of like shit, like walking away, and then having a couple of them like there's a couple of them kind of show back up in this episode. They kind of jump back in saying like, oh, like I moved on my own, and the random callback to the slime villain that kind of took over.
You're right, Bakugo in season 1.
Bakugo and Midoriya saved him there, and that kind of links back to the guy that was on site. The hero that was on site that should have done something was the guy that retired and in the moment kind of saved everybody from ceiling falling down. But
yep.
I don't know, man. We got 2 more episodes.
We'll get All Might. You think he goes out? Think he dies?
Oh, I'm trying not to think about that, actually.
I mean, if there's a time.
So. I think so.
Yeah, if there's a time to kill him.
It feels, no, because you and I have literally clocked every moment along the way where, like, that was the moment to do it. And now it feels too hyped up. And they're going to show a flashy mech. I think it's going to be like a flashy mech fight. It's going to be cool or whatever. And I don't know if I'm getting my hopes up, but they did tease us with a little bit of, what's his name there? Stain? Not Stained.
Stain was
there. Stain was there. But I don't know if he saw Ida and Shoto fly by. So I don't know. Which is
kind of cool, because if you remember, like, he didn't kill, but he paralyzed Lita's brother, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then he got out and
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kinda
That'd be
full
cool if like All Might and Stain take on All for One. That'd be pretty sick.
That'd be really interesting.
That's what I'm saying. That'd be
Hey,
like
but
all
you know
time.
what, man? They have an opportunity to do something cool. That'd be cool as hell.
That would be cool.
I hope they do
but,
that.
I don't know. We'll see on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, how about the Penguin? How about the Sopranos, but in Gotham?
Dave, were you as genuinely shocked at the end of that first episode as I was?
Because of what happens?
No, just like, like I'm a huge Matt Reeves stan. I love
Yes, and you've been
love-
right all along for the record. Your boy,
his
your boy's
Batman. I'm a huge Planet of the Apes fan, especially I like all the old ones, but these remakes are fantastic. And there was just something, and Colin Farrell's my boy too, and he was amazing in the Batman. There was something in the back of my head of like, we do this because this is like technically, is this not the first thing out of James Gunn's camp?
Well, no.
Or is it, like, this is probably like leading in,
because here's the thing. I don't want to. I have a invested interest in correcting you here, Grant, because as you know, I am intending to profit off of
I know.
James Gunn's failed takeover of DC Studios. So let me jump in real quick. So James Gunn took over, creative control of DC Studios, which didn't exist. It's a division within Warner Brothers that just focuses on DC properties, right? What he's doing now is he's rebooting. They rebooted it with The Flash, right? That technically came out. And now they're relaunching with Superman and all this other shit. And there might be something out. It might be Blue Beetle or something that technically starts the new universe. But, and this is the big but, the asterisk here is when he took over the Batman with Matt Reeves and Arbats and Joker with Joaquin, they had already come out and they had already been greenlit by Warner Brothers for sequels.
Gotcha.
So James Gunn was given the task of like, what do you want to do with this? And I don't know if he alone has this authority, but the decision was, we're going to continue with our DC reboot. It will be in a silo and it will in no way intersect with what we are now calling DC standalone stories. And Matt Reeves is the Batman and Todd Phillips is Joker are standalone stories, not interconnected with anything else. So like they deserve all the glory. Like,
word.
As far as I'm aware, Gunn has had he is kind of in a way a studio head. So I'm sure that studios are involved with every movie they make.
I gotta say, his name was nowhere on the credits.
Yeah, like this is entirely, like everything coming from the Matt Reeves end of the business, as I understand it.
Well, it's good to hear because it fucking rules, dude. Like I was just like, I like. It's not like I was expecting it to fail. It was just one of those things I was so apprehensive of it.
Well, it is a bit of a weird. You just don't know, right? Like we've just seen this a lot. Disney has done this ultra recently, and it's gone very shakily, right? Yeah. Like if you had to be like, oh yeah, like let's do movies interconnected with TV shows. Like you look at Marvel and Disney Plus, and you're like, I don't know, man.
I think maybe that's what it was. Like
that might be fucking messy.
Yeah.
But that like to be fair to James Gunn, like they did the Suicide Squad, then he did Peacemaker, and both of those were fantastic.
That's true. Peacemaker was.
So I know, but yeah, like you just never know. You never know how things are going to translate. You never know if it's actually going to look good. And the Penguin looks fucking great.
It dude, he is completely unrecognizable. It's you were talking about earlier about Adar, and I was waiting for the Penguin conversation, but Dave, it's incredible. There's every now and then you hear a hint in his voice. It's so funny. There's a line. You've only seen the first time. It's not a spoiler, but there's the Penguin and then the kid that he essentially is holding hostage is this new right-hand man, Victor,
with the stutter.
Yeah, there's a line where I can't remember if it was in the first second episode, but he makes a line of I'll gut you like a fish. It might be the first episode. Yeah. And it was so funny when he said that. I was like, oh shit, I can hear Colin Farrell in there. For whatever reason, that line it really stuck out. But
yeah, you can hear it slip in and out at times, but in general, his accent is extremely good. It really reminds me of how good Colin Farrell is. I was thinking about that. Was that Banshees of Inisherin he did?
Oh, so good. You ever seen In Bruges?
He's wonderful.
The whole time I'm watching this, it's him playing because he's a kind of a dopey criminal in Bruges, kind of a fucking idiot, and he's not really that in this, but it's just like the tone of like kind of like the gangster, like the looks he makes, so like, you know, like don't fucking look at me, don't touch me, like all this, like it's just very, it's very coded. I love it.
And also, how about Christine? Is it Milioti?
Milioti, yeah. Scene stealer.
Sophia Falcone, yeah, like
incredible TV psychopath.
You know, I know her from the mom from How I Met Your Mother, and then she has a brief stint in The Wolf of Wall Street. And I was like, you know, I never really was all that. I just wasn't blown away. She got like, I mean, I just think like this is a really good character, but she's like wildly nailing it. Their chemistry is fantastic. She's frightening, dude.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing. I've seen her. I honestly forgot she's in Wolf of Wall Street, but you know, I remember her from How I Met Your Mother. But there was a movie right as COVID broke out, or like you know, back in the day or whatever you want to say. There's a movie that came out on Prime. It was supposed to come out in theaters, but like everything happened, so it was one of the first movies that got dumped to streaming. It was called Palm Springs. It was her and Andy Samberg.
I saw that. I forgot.
And like by the end of it, like Andy Samberg is great and all that, but I was like blown away by her. Like she was so good in that.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know she was in this till I started watching it. She popped up. I was like, shit. Oh, cool. Like right on. And blown away.
And they, similar to Batman, the Batman. I mean, not okay. No, that's not really a good take. But what I was gonna say is, it's like a lot of good superhero shows. You can't really tell it's about superheroes or supervillains, other than like some of the names that go around. This like hyper realism Gotham, ultra dark that they've made is like it's so heavily stylized, it's so beautifully shot. The cinematography is really good. The voice work by Colin Farrell, the prosthetics you already mentioned. Mm-hmm. We just have a lot of the pieces. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you just get one of those things. You get a show that's beautifully shot, and then like maybe the dialogue doesn't quite work, and you know what I mean. But like just like the Batman, like this movie is just kind of firing on all cylinders. I'm curious about how much of the talent worked on both projects. Or maybe just like within the same family. Maybe they just did a really good job of being like, hey, we really want to continue this vision. But I don't know what the secret sauce is there, but like I totally agree. Probably the recency bias is real, but like I can't think of a better TV show like superhero TV show pilot that I liked more. WandaVision was great, the pilot was great, Peacemaker was great. Yeah. Generally I skew quite dark. This is wildly good.
Yeah, fucking, I don't know. I really like how, you know, like that picture of like the world that was like teed up in, you know, in our Bat's, like, you know, his Batman. You know, I just love the scenery of like the flooded parts of Gotham, you know, and I was a little apprehensive in the first like 30 seconds because like they open up with like generic Fox News and CNN programming.
Yes. Going
from channel to channel and like kind of everyone like taking in like, oh, the impoverished neighborhoods are hit the most and the elite neighborhoods are fine, and like, you know, like the acting is fine. It's like the way it was presented to me. I'm like, oh, is this like supposed to be schlocky TV, or is like this just like a fucking mess off the bat? I was so nervous, and then you get eyes on him. You're like, yeah, we're good.
Oh, yeah, the way they show the club foot too.
The limp. They're really showing like his. They show that he has the lean. They show that he has the limp. That he has this, but like they do a really good job of showing how much like kind of like raw power he has. Ugh. And like at the same time, like I have, and I maybe this is a stretch, and I'm not genuinely comparing him to Walter White, but you know how like Walter White would like in the face of no matter what scenario he was in, he would just lie through his teeth. Like in incredible fashion,
utter confidence, yeah.
And just you know what Colin Farrell's doing with this in the Penguin, like the way like he can go from like one scene to the other even within the same. He gets news in room A and he works his way to room B, and he's already like conniving and planning. Like it's a
really
very
good storytelling, man.
Cool character,
because the audience knows the way they're doing it. At least in the pilot, is the audience knows what Oswald knows, what the Penguin knows. So you know when he's lying, to your point. And it's like, so you have to watch his performance and be like, is he being convincing enough? And like, I don't know. Really well done. Really hard to do, I think, from an acting perspective, by the way. Like, Colin Farrell, man, like, he's a real one, he gets a big dub for this, I think. And,
you know, like, not to, again, I'm not trying to compare it to, like, The Sopranos or you know, Breaking Bad too much, but how, like, it's hard. Like, again, I've never been in a situation like this where I'm being essentially held hostage, but like I genuinely fear for Victor, like the way, like, you know, the Penguin or Oz will like kind of turn on him, like in the moment too, like, you know, like is his buddy, he's trying to warm him up and all that, but you know, like in like a second he would kill him.
And
you know?
Victor knows that, and know that because you're with Victor, and you know, like, the way he snapped and killed the first guy, for God's sake.
Yeah.
So good, so terrifying.
Yeah.
But it's weird because in a Walter White-like way, you kind of want him to kill that guy because you're like, fuck this guy. It's weird, right? Like, you end up rooting for the bad guy a little bit because you have this absurd curiosity. Yeah, man, I'm really digging it. Also, ending credits are great. They're like movie quality.
I was gonna say I really like, because that was like a big part of the Batman movie, where just their usage of that Nirvana song, and just kind of not changing the song, but kind of like rearranging the piece a little bit, you know, kind of to fit the needs, and like using cues from the song you would expect it to be a chorus or something like that, or a motif from the song. Yeah, they do, and again, like, it's not a spoiler, but in the first episode they use that Dolly Parton song to like great effect throughout the episode and the ending, and they do a similar thing in the second episode. I'm wondering, like, there's just like a theme of like really good song choices, like fitting kind of like a mood and a tone. Really love that. But
oh, and I mean, you know, this goes without saying, but like, you know, as major fan of the Batman Part 1, Part 2, you know, that starts filming in 2025. This is supposed to lead directly into the sequel. So
do you think because they've said he's not going to be in it, but
yes,
Robert Pattinson must be in it, right?
I don't know. I'm curious. You know, I won't be upset if he's not. I'm operating under the assumption that, like, you know, Colin Farrell looked in the camera and said, no, like, we want to tell the story about the Penguin and we want it to lead into Batman 2, so it will, but he's not in it, and it's the Penguin story. So who knows?
Do you know you're gonna fucking hate?
What?
I think Robert Pattinson not showing up, I think is okay and fine. I will put my chips down. I bet you your boy Barry as the Joker is gonna show up.
I'll be so fucking mad, dude.
I actually don't think they can help themselves.
So Grant's talking about Barry Keoghan,
yeah,
who is a deleted scene from the Batman 1, rightfully so. But they were like teeing him up in like an end credit scene about, like, you know, because they put away the Riddler at the end of Batman 1, and his cellmate or someone nearby in the prison is the Riddler or the Joker played by Barry. It's nothing against Barry Keoghan, even though he is weird as fuck. It's for me, it's more that, like, I just don't think we need more stories about the Joker. We've had 3 actors play him in the last decade or more. Like, it's just there's a wealth of new and exciting characters that they can use from this IP, and they should try to do something a little bit more fresh, I think. But you're like, when you said that, I was like, oh fuck, they could easily do that. So I don't know. I won't be surprised if they do that. I won't be surprised if I'm wrong and Arbats is in it. But if neither of those things happen, that's okay too.
Yeah.
I'm curious too, like, what it means though, right? Like, when they say it leads into Batman 2, like, in what way? What will be the cliffhanger? Like, I'm excited to find out.
Or he's the main villain in
Batman that too. Movie. Like,
that would be interesting. That would be cool. That'd be good tee-off.
Yeah,
I'll see it in my big picture.
Hell, that's a great idea. You know what I mean? Like, that's a better idea than doing another Joker movie, because he had a perfect little intro in Batman 1, and he's getting a full series now. Build him up, like, show how far he comes. Make another year or 2 pass during this season. So the Batman gets better, and the Penguin becomes like the Kingpin, and then have him go at it in the second movie. That'll be fantastic, and that'd be so much cooler than another Joker movie. You know, I don't know, but we'll see.
I don't know. The second episode's great, just as good as the first.
Yes, I'm not caught up, but that's really good to hear, because, as you know, like, pilots are hard, but like momentum is also very, very difficult.
That was the thing too, because I found, like, you know, the first episode, the pilot, to be like very fast paced, but I was like, okay, that is pilots, and is, you know, it's a lengthy thing. They got a lot of stuff they need to get out of the way, a lot of, you know, IP bullshit you gotta wade through, you know, and but I was surprised the second episode has a very similar pace.
Hell yeah!
And I was like, okay, man, this is just the speed they want to go to. So I don't know how many episodes this is gonna be, but either way,
my mind says 6 or 8, but I'm pulling that out of my ass.
8 would be nice.
Yeah.
10 would be ideal.
Yeah.
8 would be nice. 6. Yeah. Wow.
We'll see.
It is what it is.
We'll see. What do you got? You got some?
You want to talk about this Kaos show you were asking
Yeah,
me to
have
check
you? Okay, so Chaos, new-ish, end of August, I think, or early September on Netflix. I went in the story for the user, the reference, the context for the listener is I just said, Grant, watch this show. It's called Chaos. And Sam put it on over here. We're 2 or 3 episodes in now. I'd never heard of it, never seen a trailer, and I think that's the best way to watch it. But the one-liner synopsis I'll give the audience is it's a new age, R-rated Greek mythology in modern day where Jeff Goldblum is a power-drunk Zeus.
Pitch perfect.
What? So did you watch it? What do you think?
Yeah, I watched the pilot. It was good. It was funny. Like I didn't want to deep dive into it too much. I don't know if this is like original story or an adaptation or anything, but like within the first 5 minutes, this screamed like Terry Pratchett. You know, like kind of like Neil Gaiman. Oh, you know, I know Neil Gaiman's like kind of canceled right now, but like this fantastical, whimsical storytelling. Like there was that Good Omens show that had David Tennant and Michael Sheen in it.
Oh yeah,
and it very much reminded me of that. Just like tone and like the mysticism and like kind of, you know, the playing around with the mythologies in modern day and all that. But I really liked it. I thought, again, like Jeff Goldblum is, you know, like all time, like, you know, like it's crazy because he is known as like a comedic actor nowadays, but like he was a dramatic actor for a long time, and there's a really good blend of that in this of him.
Yeah,
you know, like he is like, you know, he has like his very dry kind of like kooky comedic timing to him, but like he shows some like legitimate rage in this first episode. I was kind of like, oh yeah, like fucking cook Jeff, like go get him, you know, like I want to see him get mad or whatever. But no, I really enjoyed it. Very like, if I did say, I did find not the editing, but like the jumping around in the narrative, like all introducing all these characters was like a little too loose for me. Like, but like not to the point where I'm like, oh, I don't want. Like, I definitely want to keep watching. I told Leanne about it today, and I was like, this is probably something we should watch together. I think this is up your alley because we really like Good Omens, at least the first season.
I think it might be up her alley too. Yeah, like so for your reference, like we love episode 1. A bit of a dip on episode 2, though I was exhausted and like fell asleep. And then episode 3, I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. So it's like a little up and down, but like I had a lot of the same feelings as you as far as Jeff Goldblum goes. I'm like, oh my god, let him be crazy. You know what I mean? Just let him loose.
Yeah.
You had mentioned you weren't sure about, you know, source material and whatnot. As far as I can tell, it's wholly original, written and created for Netflix by Charlie Covell, who also did the series called The End of the Fucking World.
Oh, I don't know.
Which was like a Channel 4 production, but then eventually got moved over to Netflix, and then I think Netflix finished the series with him. He's a British writer-director, I think.
It feels like very British.
Yes.
I think maybe that's why
you can
it
definitely
seems so
feel
like,
that.
It feels like Good Omens in that way.
But yeah,
like even everyone too, like they're in like, I know like they're in Brazil or they're in Crete, which is Greece, but it almost looks like I thought they were in Brazil at first because like the giant monument. I thought it was like we're like, oh no, that's Zeus. I was like, that's funny. Like it has a monument made to him. Yeah. But everyone speaks English, but like, you know, like, or like an American English, but you know, like, oh, these are all British people.
100%.
Yeah.
And there is a bit of like, I mean, I hesitate to say this, but I feel like there is a slight, almost like The Boys-ish vibe to the show in the way it treats violence and sexuality and at times gore.
Sure.
In that, like, everything is light until it's not. You know what I mean? Everything is light and like ha ha ha, and then like you decapitate somebody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then they show it because it's, you know, it's Netflix or whatever. So it's very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see more. But when I watched that pilot, I was like, this is so fun. It's so new. It feels fresh. I know it's the idea of Greek mythology isn't fresh, but I think the idea of Greek mythology in modern day in an alternate reality where it's normalized is an interesting prospect and probably something that hasn't been done in a while.
It's funny because
And Jeff Goldblum, come on.
Yeah, no. The thing I really like, and I'm not by any means like a Greek mythology expert, but like I've played a ton of Hades.
Yes.
And
you know all the names.
I know all the names, but I was so in love with that game. I kind of went down a rabbit hole a couple times reading about like, you know, the lore of like all these Greek gods and all that. and there was actually like an obscene amount of little Easter eggs and jokes in the first episode referencing stuff that was like in these history, in quotations histories or whatever, about these characters, and like, kind of like the shit talking Poseidon, like being a fucking bum.
Yes.
He's not like, protecting the way he should, and like that was like a part of like a story, and like, the stuff with Dionysus and like his beef with Hera, like that's legitimate, and like, like stuff like that. And like, the Orpheus and the Eurydice, the Riddy stuff, saying her name's right, Eurydice,
yeah.
Anyway, all that stuff, like, it's just, they're really playing on those known stories. It's not like they're just like taking the names and just doing, like, clearly the work went into this and the research was done.
Yeah.
And it feels that way. Like, that's, so like major props to that.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I gotta say, Hera's Wall of Tongues, that was fucking like,
David
Lynch,
right?
and I was like, whoa, you guys really stepped it up. That was really cool.
They're doing creative stuff, and like there's they go deeper into mythology in episodes 2 and 3. 3 especially, I was like, I wonder if they're gonna, because they're talking about, how some of the gods are related, and are they gonna address this? And they do, you know what I mean? There's little cool things. You're like, okay, if you're gonna take a bite of the Greek mythology apple, like, you kind of gotta go, like, sell me the whole bushel. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go deep. Yeah, I came up with that analogy just now, dude. Don't want to brag. But yeah, check it out. You got anything else? You want to talk about some news?
I got nothing else. So let's do some news, and I wanted to ask you, are you ready for the fall? I got a little bit of a fall season primer for you.
Of course you do, dude.
Yeah, dude.
You're my boo. No, I'm not. Like, I know there's obviously like a fall season coming. What are your big ones that you're looking forward to?
So up top, and this is one I know because you and I were talking about it, but this is the only one that's aired so far. But Uzumaki started.
Oh man, is that out already?
Came out 2 days ago to rave. Very good opener, I believe.
Oh my god, dude! We gotta watch that this weekend, dude.
Yeah. Oh fuck! Yeah, there we go. That's what we'll do.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah. So Uzumaki's one.
Okay.
ReZero Season 3. The long.
That's another big one.
Await for that. That comes out this week. So I probably like the biggest one of the season is that Dan to Dan show. That comes out this week as well. That's a Shonen Jump. That's like probably like their only significant leg left in their modern era of series right now.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
At least until Sakamoto Days comes out in January. But
okay, Dan to Dan, got it.
Next on my list, what I'm super excited for is Bleach: 1,000-Year Blood War Part 3.
That's going to be Disney Plus, right?
Disney Plus, yeah. So that's next week, I believe. And here's one for you. Shangri-La Frontier Season 2 is next week.
Okay. When was this Dan to Dan thing coming out? Do you know?
I think it's the 3rd, so that'd be what?
3rd of October?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 2 days. Yeah. Okay.
All these shows are out in the next 2 weeks.
Hell yeah, dude.
Actually, the only exception is Dragon Ball Daima. Which right. I believe is at the end of the month. I think that's.
Do you remember offhand? I don't blame you if you do. Is Dragon Ball Daima like related? Like, did Toriyama have any involvement? It was the last. Before he died?
It was the last project that he was actively working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be good. And then the last one is just a rom-com blue box that Leanna and I'm looking forward to, and Leanna will probably end up watching that as our rom-com for the season. But yeah, dude, it's turning into a bit of a psycho season for myself. So.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, there's some good stuff in here, like Uzumaki, must watch. SLF S2, I'll probably get to it. Dragon Ball Daima, I will take a peek at, but I'm curious about this Dan to Dan thing. Shonen Jump, I'm just curious,
Yeah. Well, it's like just the early talks on it, and I think there was at was it New York Comic Con? Like whatever one of the Comic Cons like last month or a month and a half ago, they brought in a bunch of like obviously not us, but they brought in a lot of anime people, and they watched the first 3 episodes. And
oh, cool. Of Dan to Dan?
Yeah, and everyone came out saying like this is going to be the biggest fucking show of the year. So, but I know some people that have read it. Joey's a big fan. He said the manga's it's fucking weird, but it's awesome. I know a lot of people compare it to Chainsaw Man in a lot of ways.
Yeah, weird can be good,
but I believe so that's the thing too. Like Dan to Dan's a part of this like kind of club of mangakas that all worked underneath. Fuck, I'm now blanking on what manga was above them. I think they worked under. Is it Toriyama? Not Toriyama. Anyways, I can't remember who they all worked underneath.
But a famous author is what you're saying?
But there was a famous manga, and he had a bunch of assistants, and it was like the guy that did Chainsaw Man, the guy that did Dan to Dan, the guy that did Hero, Jujutsu Kaisen. Like, they all kind of worked under this guy, and they all went off and had like their own fucking big series, and like they're all kind of popping off now. So
interesting.
But yeah, Dan to Dan is.
It wasn't the Attack on Titan manga, was it?
No, I want to say I thought it might have been Tite Kubo from Bleach,
or
but
the
I can't
Berserk
remember.
guy who passed away.
No, I don't think it was him. But I'll have that information.
Anyway, that's a great teaser, and I'm tempted to watch Uzumaki, but now I'm afraid to watch it before bed, Grant.
No, shit, that's the time to watch it.
Sam's terrified. Anything remotely... Like, I'm going to show her a trailer for this. She's going to be like, out, 1,000% out. I will never watch this. And I can't tell her. It's like, no, you don't understand. It's a famous horror manga. Like, that's just going to make it worse.
It was so funny. I had Leanna's parents over and Joey last night for dinner, and he asked us, "Oh, like what's on the docket this season?" And I was like, "Oh, Uzumaki there." He's like, "Oh, which one's that?" And I was like, "Oh, Junji Ito." He's like, "Out."
Yeah,
I was like, "Really?" He's
apparently
like,
"It's quite frightening, eh?"
Well, it's his most famous work, or it's deemed. Spiral is one of his. Uzumaki Spiral. I think it's kind of like interchangeable names.
A lot of art out there. Like, my algorithm, as you know, is like tattoos and anime.
Yeah.
And anime tattoos, and like there's a lot of people who got his art on them.
Yeah. I saw on Twitter, there's like a small snippet of like just like a clip from the first episode, and I was like, I was already getting creeped out. I was like, no, dude, I need to be creeped out by this moment on my TV, not like just on.
I've been watching the trailers as they come out. It looks, and my understanding is like the delays have been like
5 years, dude.
A lot of delays, but a lot of them like citing quality concerns because they want to get it right. And I'm just curious to see what the finished product looks like.
I believe he's like, kind of like, it's not like an official statement or anything like that, but the general consensus is he's been the most burned by anime adaptations.
Oh, really? Well,
like there's never been one of his works that have like even remotely kind of like clicked.
Yeah, so maybe he has some kind of final cut or something. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of like the pinnacle of the art form, Marvel's going to submit Deadpool 3 to the Oscars this year. Yeah. I nailed that segue, dude. They're going to submit Ryan Reynolds as lead actor and Hugh Jackman as supporting. I think this is wild.
The hubris.
Yeah, I don't really understand. If there was a moment, it would have been RDJ and Endgame. But even then, I think that's a stretch. Apparently, I looked this up, and really RDJ's only statement on it is on Howard Stern.
Okay.
Post Endgame, and he referenced, and Stern brought it up. He said apparently they really wanted, like Marvel and Disney wanted to push and wanted to submit and start the campaign for RDJ as best actor for Endgame, and it was RDJ who said nah. And then he gets the happy ending because he won a couple of years later anyway, right, for supporting.
Yeah, something that you want to win for.
Yeah, because if you got it for Iron Man, it's more of like a Lifetime Achievement Award. Let's be real.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think the move for Deadpool is fucking weird. And also, like, I think, the top comment I saw everywhere on this was like, if Logan didn't win or get nominated for Logan, rather, excuse me, if Jackman didn't get nominated or win for Logan, like, this isn't going to be it. He has one great monologue in that movie, but like, it's not a character movie.
No.
Freerun season 2, greenlit.
The girls were so excited when I told them that. They were like, or the McCrins like it's coming out soon. I'm like, no, they announced it, and I was like, we got like a year or two.
Yeah,
what?
It's gonna take some time, but hey, you know what? This is still great news. We get more. Just give me as close to as the same team and the same level of quality, and I'll consider myself spoiled.
I would be genuinely shocked if they made a studio switch. Like,
oh, I thought you were saying genuinely shocked if it's as good.
No. I think there's been more of a trend lately where, there's like the production houses that own the rights to the anime and then who they hire to do the project. And I feel like over the past few years, like on like the less like major legacy stuff, like whether it's like Bleach or One Piece or stuff like that, where they've always more or less been like the same studio.
Yeah.
A lot of these other ones, like shows that kind of jump studios all the time for the most part. And I feel like there's been a little more consistency. Like, I think MAP has been a big part of that too.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think that, you could take that as, just because they'll take any fucking work at like, a fraction of the cost or whatever. But, Yeah. Well, speaking of which, Jujutsu Kaisen over.
Yeah, we'll see how long we can keep the spoiler demons at bay. Grant and I have been talking.
I got burned. I'm gonna have to read it, I think.
Yeah, we've been talking about maybe just jumping it and reading this one on Shonen Jump because it's out there. The spoilers have been pretty aggressive anyway, and like we just keep hearing pretty controversial things about how the manga is received in general post Shibuya. So I don't know. There might be a point, similar to Berserk. Like I think Grant's either wrapped up or close to wrapping up that first deluxe one, right?
Yeah, I've done 2 laps now.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Sorry, I got to catch up. But like, there's just going to be manga coverage in our future, one way or another. Absolutely, we're going to do something for Berserk, and it just depends on what happens with Jujutsu Kaisen. But I think there's a good chance we end up reading that.
What I think would be an interesting experiment for you and I once we get through, because I know we have plans for the Berserk manga, but whenever the time comes, I would. Because I think, like, I don't. This isn't really a spoiler, but I think, like, the general consensus that, between talking to Leanna and Joey and, people on the internet is one of the biggest flaws with the manga is there just becomes a point where it's almost like the power system kind of just, like, went away with itself.
Breaks
and
a little bit, yeah.
It breaks, and it's, like, layers upon layers of, like, just more confusion, like, every few chapters of, like, you didn't even, like, answer that first problem you introduced, now you're adding this one.
Yeah.
And it becomes this layered mess of, like, well, what is the point of having a power system if, like, none of it makes sense?
Right.
I would think it would be fun when the time is ready and you and I get in to, like, sit down and actually go through when those points happen in the manga and break them down and, like, compare it to the next time it comes up and, like, like, kind of, like, do, like, not like a dissertation, but, like, just a breakdown and a kind of, like, an autopsy.
That sounds pretty interesting. I'm kind of into
it. Yeah, exactly, like, where, this is kind of contradicting that point and compare. I think that'd be a fun little thing to do.
Could be fun, yeah, because I've been rewatching, as you know, I have an ailment. I have a sickness, and I watch people react to things I've already seen, and I've been rewatching season 2, actually 1 and 2 on YouTube, and like a big part of the strength of, at least in the anime so far of Jujutsu Kaisen is, yes, the power systems are absolutely convoluted, but like when you go through them, like they do make sense, at least so far. And my understanding is it gets pretty wild, but but like. I think one thing that like probably really attracted people early on, or at least attracted me, is like it is kind of a typical shonen, but like the lore and the way curses and techniques and all that shit works is pretty involved and pretty adult. Where it's like, I don't think a 12-year-old is gonna get this. So I like that it's kind of complex. That might be fun to read in depth, and
for
see
me,
to your point if all the hubbub is if all the stuff is real, like if it does it really just become unreadable and complicated.
Well, the thing is, like, again, I'm only speaking from, like, people I know, but
yeah,
I know for a fact, in my experience, Leanna and her brother Joey are both very competent readers, and, like, they're very versed in, like, this type of thing, like, fantasy and, horror and all this stuff. Like, they know how to read and follow along, like, quite well, I think. And to hear them both be like, yeah, man, like, it's fucking, and then I hear from 2 people that I know and trust, like, explicitly. And then I go online and the exact same verbiage is being used about it. It's like, damn, like, it really must be, it's like, it's one of the things, like, I don't believe anybody, let alone my wife and my brother-in-law, but, like, it's like I got to see it and read it for myself to see, like, exactly where it falls apart, you know? Like, I'm so curious.
Agreed. I want to know what the hubbub is. Because I, for the record, I've seen that too, right? Like, where it's like, okay, towards the end there, it just becomes, like, nonsense about domains and this and that, and it's like, all right, well, what's going on? And also, I don't know if you're seeing this shit, dude, but like people, like it's kind of cool to see that the fan base is this passionate, but there's fan animation everywhere of like certain fights because people are so excited about it.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, like I don't know how many more ways I can like try and dodge spoilers here because there's just so much coming around.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll go from there. But I think that it's likely we may end up, taking a little peek there.
Yes, sir.
Your boy Frank Darabont's coming back, Grant. He's going to direct some of your show, Stranger Things.
My show.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you've seen it. I haven't. Therefore,
okay, it's my show. All right,
it's your show.
It was so funny. We were walking around the mall yesterday, and I like my eyes are going. Like I'm definitely due. You know, Leanna's gonna hear this and she's gonna say like, yeah, you fucking do need glasses. But we were walking through the mall and I just saw this. We were walking by a Bath and Body Works, and I was like, what the fuck is going on inside that store right now? And I was like, is that what I think it is? And Leanna's like, no, that's not what you think it is. That's the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. Like, it's a mouth wide open.
That's funny.
And I was just like, oh.
And you're just losing it.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, that's such a weird, like, yeah, I'll get some hand lotion.
Yeah,
man.
man.
It smells like a Demogorgon, but...
This is, like, cut to our conversation right before we hit record. I was, like, talking to you about... We were at a bar, and a manager comped us a drink, and I just kept nodding because I didn't know what he was saying, because my old man hearing... I just... We don't really know what's happening around us, I think, is the... We're not that old, but it's becoming a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
What else? Cyberpunk is doing another anime at Netflix.
I'm legit. I hope, I really, and I think you're going to be under the same opinion, but I just hope they do a new story. Keep it in, you know, Night City. Could be 30 years later or 30 years before. I don't care. I just want a new from the ground.
Yeah, give me another. Yeah, totally agree. Give me
little
another
hints
dose,
here
Doc.
and there. You know, see, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Lady Gaga to release her first album since 2020 as companion piece to Joker 2.
Did you? Okay, well, that's cool. Like it's like all themed around.
No idea. Companion album to Joker 2 is like the breadth of what I've seen. So I'm going to assume thematically, at least in some way.
I saw.
It might be called Harley Quinn or something, actually. Like,
that's
I don't know. So closely linked to the movie is what I'll say.
I had read something this morning that because it, like, I think it's technically releasing right now in Asia. So in South Korea, they have their own version of like a national cinema score.
Yeah.
And like I think it's been running for like 10 years or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And nothing, I think it's like a score out of 100, and nothing has ever gone under a 70. Or I think the worst South Korean film went as low as like something like 72. And right now, Joker is scoring a 60.
Ouch. Yeah, I mean, I know.
And like it's not doing well. Like
a couple of these early embargoes that have lifted have been tough.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. I'll see it because I like the first one so much. But
I agree. I would like to see it. Comes out this Friday, no?
I think so. Yeah. Okay, last one. We got to watch this. I'm confused. I wish I was better prepared for this, but Tim Dillon, This Is Your Country. It's a special filmed in front of a live audience where it's like kind of Jerry Springer-esque. And it's Tim Dillon just shitting on people, from what I understand. But they're all his fans, so it's like that. It's what they signed up for, I guess.
Okay.
And he like comes to be like, I'm gonna solve your problem. But like the butt of the joke, like the punchline is like, America is broken, filled with garbage people.
Sure.
Because that's like his whole brand, right? So that just came on Netflix today. I went to hit play to see what it was. It's a 47-minute special that they've edited together. I thought he had like a deal for like a show, so I don't know if it changed. I don't know if he has this special and then a show is coming out. I gotta find out the details on that. But what I do know is I watched the trailer and it looked very funny.
Might check that out.
So, and 47 minutes, you know what I mean? Quick and easy. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm gonna see what that's about, and I want to know if he's doing more.
Have you seen much of his stuff?
I've seen his special. I thought it was okay. I have seen like his very viral like rants on YouTube, which is clearly what people love him for. Like,
Sure.
I think he has a place in comedy. I'm not his number one fan. I won't pretend to be, but like I think he's funny. I'm not like a diehard in any way, but yeah.
Great in an interview. He's good as a guest.
Yes, man. Like he's clearly
guest.
a very I didn't want to like elaborate too much, but like he's clearly a very intelligent dude, right? I'm just curious to see more of his perspective.
Yes, sir.
That's all I got, friend.
Yeah, me too. I'm all out.
All right, compadres. Wow, we made it through a whole episode without me plugging the Instagram. Follow us, Part-Time Otaku Podcast, on the Instagram, on the TikTok. We're on there. We're on the talks with the ticks, where the street youths film and share their content. We do that as well. I think I've got a little talk, they say, coming out on Chaos, the show, sometime this week. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple Music. New episodes every couple weeks. Thank you so much for listening. Grant, go ahead, say the thing.
Bye, guys.
Cheers.